Hi everyone, welcome to Breakthrough Career Coaching. I am your life and career coach, Ming.
I actually finished a very crisp
To share a quick tip again for a job search. So today I want to share some quick tips on how to do small talk. 3 key things: your mindset, your body language, and the content that you're exchanging. All right, let's jump into the mindset. The first things first is that you need to have a very good positive attitude about this conversation. If you tend to think this is tedious, dreadful, and very troublesome for you, then of course it's probably not going to go well. So I want you to consider this as something light and pleasant, and stay with the open mind as well as some curiosity. So that is the very key foundational thing for any good conversation, is that you are actually interested and would like to have this quick conversation, or maybe longer conversation. All right, tip number 2. Now that you have a good mindset, it's very important to make sure you display the right body language. I know a lot of people will say, well, that really doesn't matter as much, does it? In fact, humans read body language way more than the actual content and the words that you deliver. So how you use your tone and how you pose your body actually plays a very key and critical role. So please make sure that whenever you have that conversation, do not block between you and the speaker. Things like crossing your arms will actually send off a very snobbish and cold vibe.
Oh no.
Avoid that at all times. Or doing anything like crossing your arms or fidgeting or not looking the person in the eye are all pretty bad signs. So please make sure that you keep a kind of a smile on your face, at times nod your head whenever you heard something. Just respond to the person, right? And then show that you're curious and interested by looking at the other person in the eye about 2/3 of the time. You can occasionally stare away and as you think maybe, but try to keep focused on the topic and on the person who's speaking. The third important thing is, well, what am I going to say? What are some
icebreakers
that I'm able to use and not sounding too serious or formal? So there are a few good
topics you can prepare ahead of time.
The first thing, greeting. Whenever you encounter somebody, it's always a nice thing just to simply greet them. Saying things like, hey, Ming, great to see you again. How have you been? Or things like, wow, what a surprise to see you at this yoga class. How was your day so far? Any of those would be
A good
icebreaker, and it can open up a conversation easily. Now, some other content that you say, including things like a small compliment. Things like, wow, I love that color. I've never really seen a shirt in that neon pink. Where did you get that? That can be a pretty good icebreaker as well. Or things like, I use the same mug. Were you also graduated from UBC? What a small world. What major did you take? And when was that? Obviously, you don't want to ask all these questions at one shot. It sounds like you're just shooting questions out. You want to make sure you keep it paced. A good rhythm is when you, as if you're playing a tennis. It should be a natural rhythm, whereas there's back and forth. There is a good question you ask, and there's some answers. That's the best kind of state you want to go in. You don't want to be the only person who's talking the entire time and ended up feeling like you're overpowering this whole conversation. You want to keep a good pace. Anything more than 20 seconds is kind of started to get there. So please try to stay within 40 seconds for your own speech and allow the other person to jump in and provide their perspectives. Bottom line is, whenever you hear something different or a perspective that may be unique angle, do not try to influence or completely persuade the other person to believe exactly what you believe, because that's not the point. The point is trying to create a connection with the other person. So stay as neutral as possible and positive, and keep things light. You don't want to start discussing about philosophical things or deep conversations like what's the meaning of life. We're talking about small talks here, so keep it small. Nothing grand or too religious or serious like political views, especially the first few times. You don't really know what's the background of the other person. You don't want to step into some bomb zones. All right, what else we can chat about? If you already chat about something fun, lighthearted, positive, and compliment the other person, find some common interest that you both can chat about, agree to the other person with the right ways, you can always also review something more about you as you go on with the conversation. So something simple as, hey, I actually like snow a lot. I know most people don't like it, but I enjoy that peaceful feeling. And it particularly reminds me of my hometown because I came from a very northwest part of China. What about you? That will be a very good conversation pusher. Whenever you share something about you, people tend to also do the same thing. So you can engage the person by asking them any question that start with a what or when, very open-ended. You don't want to be just a simple yes or no kind of question because that will probably not open up any potentials for ongoing dialogues. And make sure you have a good follow-up questions as the conversation goes along, right? If you hear something really interesting, don't be afraid. Just simply say, oh, do you plan to visit your hometown anytime soon? Or I'm also a huge fan of this particular movie series. Have you watched the most recent one? Yeah, right? Stay curious, open-minded, and keep that active listening at all times. If somebody already mentioned that they are lactose intolerant, you don't want to ask them immediately, oh, do you want milk and cream in your coffee, right? That would be a killer. And then always invite actions or close with some very good invitations. So things like, oh my gosh, that was such a good conversation about seeing that new series of movies. Why don't we exchange contacts? I would love to watch that movie with you maybe in the future. Or you can say, oh, I gotta go, but you know what? Let's catch up later. See you at the next yoga class next Saturday, same time. Many of those would close the conversation with a nice tone. And people know that you definitely are a good small talker. Thank you so much. I hope that's helpful for you, and I will see you next time.